Hey everyone, welcome to the Journey to Steam. This is a video series where I'm going to be covering the entire development of my game. It's going to go from the very start, which is this week, showing my prototype and the design behind it, all the way till the end where the game is released onto Steam. I'm so excited to share this journey with you, and I hope you enjoy this entire video series. Before I show you what I was designing and prototyping this week, I wanted to cover what the game is about, what is the gameplay experience, as this was where I had to start off, and maybe some of you out there are struggling with a similar problem. For a long time, I hadn't known what I wanted to create. I've worked on various games with different companies and contracts, and most recently, when I was a teacher, I did a lot of projects for students. So there's been this kind of consistent theme of developing games for a target audience, developing games for someone else. And this whole time I have prototyped things, I have developed a few things that I wanted to create, and I've kept playing things that inspire me that I really enjoy playing, but I wasn't consciously thinking of what I wanted to make. It's all been about someone else's target audience. So I had to take a step back and think about what game I want to make. And when I looked at my library of games, whether it was on Steam or on my console, my PlayStation, there were so many stealth action games that I just loved that they jumped out at me, and I was remembering the great times I had with them. Games with systemic systems and stealth action elements, like the Far Cry series, the Half-Life series, the whole franchise for Metal Gear Solid, the Deus Ex games, Crisis, and that series. So many games that I really enjoy playing, and there's so many more than that, by the way, just a small list. I looked at them and I got inspired by them. And if you're struggling to come up with an idea right now, rather than sitting at your desk getting stressed or staring out the window, look at work that inspires you. It could be film, it could be other games, it could be a book. Whatever you want to put into the interactive form of a video game, look at stuff that you really enjoy, that you would want to play and that you would want to make, and get inspired by that. So now that I have this inspiration and all of these ideas flooding into my head, it was time to put it down into an experience. And that is what you see in the prototype. A virtual reality game focused on stealth action with systemic systems. Let's have a look at the prototype and what I was able to create this week. Welcome to my prototype stage. This is the map where I'm going to be prototyping all of the mechanics for the game. Since I've only been developing for 1 week, I obviously do not have every mechanic in the game, but I'm really proud of what I was able to accomplish in the development of this game for just 1 week. The first thing that I want to cover is the free movement system. So as I just move backwards, you'll see, and I actually recorded a camera as well to show you guys some of the footage of how I'm moving around. You'll notice that I'm using the motion controller, the left motion controller thumbstick, in order to move around the world. And I can, of course, move in my physical space. So if I tilt the stick just a little bit, just like a controller, I will move that amount. If I tilt it the full way, I will move that entire movement speed. The alternative to this, there are many alternatives, but another common movement system is teleportation. Pointing at a location, pressing the button, and teleporting there. You may have seen it in some of my previous VR prototypes. The reason I went for this movement system over teleportation is for the immersion in the type of game that I want to create. And you will see that in the systems such as crouching and climbing, and a few other things soon. One of the things that you generally want to create straight away is your pickup system. So you've seen this pickup system before, most likely. It's a physics-based system where objects can collide and interact with the world, and they can collide with other objects realistically. And it feels really nice to use this in VR. It's really immersion breaking when an object goes through a surface, and when you let go, it flies off because it's colliding with this surface. And what I have done in the past is use the physics handle system to get past that. and it works extremely well here. As you can see, I can easily knock over the cubes, stack them, throw them, hit them away. And that's the basics of the pickup system. Now, the pickup system is extremely useful because you use it for other things in the game, such as the weapon system. Let's look at the knife, for example. The difference, though, is that you hold the trigger when you pick up a physics item so you can drop it. With a weapon, you want to just press the trigger once. That way the player doesn't have to hold the button the entire time. And what I can do is press the other button, the grip, so I have the trigger and the grip on the side, to let go. I can also grip in either hand. That way you can easily choose which hand you want to use depending on what hand you use in your day-to-day life. So with the knife, it doesn't have any mechanical use yet in terms of stealth kills, but you can use it and see how it interacts with the world. So when hopefully next week, I'll have it so I can stealth kill the enemies. And this is obviously a stealth weapon, so I can go in, I can go off, say, that building over there, jump down, take out an enemy, or sneak behind and take them out. Next up, we have the pistol. So this is a loud weapon, but it is not as loud as the rifle, meaning you can go stealth with this to some degree. If there are not enemies too close to you, you can shoot and take out the enemy and kind of move the body away. So yeah, this is the pistol. Obviously, once again, everything's prototype in terms of the projectiles and the particles being used in the sounds. So you can currently just test how it works by shooting these boxes around. And of course, the other cool thing with the physics system is that if I decide to go to cover, so I'm crouched here, I can crouch behind and shoot. Now, if I want, I can actually leave my gun here and continue shooting. I can use the side and continue shooting as well. If your gun clips through surfaces, you can't do this, and you see it in a lot of VR games where your gun will actually clip through a surface. The final weapon is the rifle, one of my favorites, and something that can be quite difficult to implement. So you grab it by the grip, once again, just like those, and the difference is you have one grip here, but you also have another grip over in this location. So what I'm going to do is grip the gun with the left motion controller, and I can aim it like this. Without that, I'm aiming it like this, and you'll notice my hand's a bit more shaky. It's a bit harder to aim. Just like in real life, when I grab a 2, it feels a lot more stable, which is really great. And I can press the trigger to shoot various targets. So you can shoot these and make them fly around. And of course, you can interact with the physics objects. Because this is a pickup item, of course, it will interact with any other physics objects. So I can actually use it like I would maybe in real life. Depending on the amount of velocity I generate is the amount of force. So if I can knock that. And I can, of course, go for something more straight. So I can also grip out and knock things about. And I can shoot them. So the rifle is probably one of the most fun guns to use, but it is the loudest. That is the pickup and rifle weapon system. Over here we have more free movement options. This is the crouch test. As you can see, my camera will clip. I'm still developing this, obviously. So I'll go into it, and I can no longer move forward when I press the button. Now, I can crouch in real life and move through and stand up when there is a gap in between. Alternatively, you could just crouch a little bit, and I've made the collider so it detects that. That way, if you don't have, say you maybe injured yourself a little, or you just don't feel like crouching that much, you just crouch a little bit and you go through. For those who want real, full immersion, it's a lot more fun to obviously crouch, look around, and take out enemies like that. Over here we have a little stealth test, just a section, an alternative path. But what I want to show you is the climbing system, something that I really like. So the climbing system is really easy to use. It's very intuitive, much like everything else in VR. You simply just grab the trigger and you just grab where you can interact with, which for the prototype are these orange objects. Basically everything is orange that you can interact with. And you are hanging. I can let go, fall to the ground, and climb up again. It's very simple. And to get up here, I just grab here, pull myself up. One other thing I want to point out is that you can move off the edge with the stick, or you can just walk off. And your character will fall down. So gravity is implemented. And what I'm going to show you now is a bit about the enemy. So I'm just going to see where the enemy is at currently. Should be coming around there. Perfect. So the enemy is currently patrolling around this building, going to these 4 points. I can pick up a cube, throw the cube, and the enemy will investigate the sound. So the enemy has a few states. They have, I'm just hiding here in case he comes back. They have the patrol state, investigate sound state, and the combat state, and also last location, where they'll look for the enemy's last location that they saw them at. All physics objects will generate noise in this game. What we're going to do now is go over to this area. I think the enemy will continue patrolling. So over here, we have the door. So you just grab it and move it, and it opens, just like this. There's currently no handle. So you just grab it from this side and move it. And of course, if you want, you can close it. The swing is determined by how much force you put into it in real life, how much velocity you put in. Some more ramp testing here just to make sure it works properly. I found that the ramps are a really great alternative to stairs. They don't make you bob up and down. And one other thing you may have noticed is this object. It's kind of been looking at us this entire time. What this is the objective. So in a lot of these games, you'll have an objective that you have to go to, and you want it displayed to the player. In VR, you can't put it on the headset's overlay. You have to put it in the world. Things that overlay on your headset can look quite weird, especially an objective marker. So objective markers have to be in the physical world. The reason why I wanted to prototype this straight away, I wanted to see how complicated it was, and it was actually quite easy. But my game is going to have a lot of objectives within each map. And with games like stealth-action games with systemic gameplay and like mini open stages, you want the player to achieve the objective in any way they see fit. So it's important for me that the player can eventually pick up a device from their belt, because I'll have a belt system, press it, and activate the objective so they can see it no matter where they are standing in the world. That way they can orientate themselves properly and get there. And yeah, that's it. This is what I've been working on. I'm so excited to finally share it with all of you, and I hope you enjoyed this look at my first prototype for this game and my first week of work. So I'm going to be implementing a lot of new systems next week, which I'm very excited about, and I'm so happy that you've all been watching this video. It's been a while since my last YouTube video. I had to take some time to think about what I wanted to create, but now that I know exactly what I want to make, I'm back, and I'd love to see your comments and your questions. I really want to do another Q&A, so if you leave me some questions, I'll get a Q&A video up. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.